Hello there. Today I want to talk about this round paper. It's on a block. That format is so cute. This is the first one I did on it. This subject right now we're going to focus on is a gum tree. I've got a reference photo and I'm going to show you how I did this in 3 layers. It doesn't take very long and I hope you'll join me. Here goes.
Colour paper. The brand is Arteza and it's quite small. When I ordered it online I thought it was going to come out this big and of course this is what happens, isn't it? So I'm just going to show you how you take it off. It's bound all the way around and you stick a blade or a butter knife or a palette knife, anything in that's going to just lift it off. This came with the Bauhong paper. So what I'm going to do is paint this lovely gum tree and include the beautiful white moon. So for the white moon, I'm going to use masking fluid. I love masking fluid. Now I know that I could, instead of using masking fluid, I could just draw a little white moon with a bit of white paper. But there is nothing more satisfying for me than the white of the paper. On top of that, I want to know whether or not this watercolour paper can handle masking fluid. I want a beautiful blue sky. I'm going to paint the background first, then move to the tree, and then I'll be able to remove the masking fluid for the moon. Let's clean up this mess from this morning's YouTube live. This sky is cobalt, so I'm going to mix up a lovely cobalt blue. Cobalt blue lives permanently on my palette in this position. Grab some cobalt, put it over here. And to that mix, so it's not going to be a plain cobalt, I'd like it to go from darker to lighter as I come down to go off to nothing. And you can see that in the photo. This is just around the corner from me, some rooftops, which I'm not going to include. But it was in the middle of the afternoon and I went for a walk and there was the moon in the middle of the sky. It's so beautiful when it does that and so amazing. I don't know why it does it. Anyway, to add to that cobalt, just mix a little more. It does get little lumpy bits in it, so it is worth really mixing it in well. I'm going to darken it up a little though with my ultramarine deep. It is worth massaging the paint on your palette to check that there are no lumps. So I'm going to go from this colour into the blue. So how is it going? It's quite wet. I'm going to tissue that off my finger and just take off any excess so that I can begin painting. So I want a transition from dark to light. So I'm going to put in a little bit of water, not too much, go over that masking fluid and wet the whole thing. I find if I don't wet the whole thing, I will inevitably get a line where I don't want it. So I'm going to start off with that slightly darker blue. This is the ultramarine. Oh dear, look at that paper, that mark. I definitely didn't cause that mark. I wondered about it on this top one here. You know, where the hell does that mark come from? Moving into the cobalt, which is generally a lighter blue. It's got a mark all the way across. Look, as I'm painting, and it finishes there really bad. Cobalt, and then off to nothing. So I'm going to paint the whole thing. And it is really cool that it is bound on the side. That is completely lovely. I'm just going back and forth till I get a lovely even wash. I like the idea that the sky is lovely and soft. Over here on my palette, I've got quinacridone gold. That's quinacridone gold in there and there, but because I've got all these spaces on my palette for oranges, which I don't use, I just mix the oranges. I've got some space here to make a loose, light quinacridone gold, and over here is the thicker version of it. So then I've got a darkish quinacridone gold and a light quinacridone gold. Now, what else do I want? I want to come up with a green that is representative of this beautiful green that comes in the tree. Some water, some quinacridone gold. Let's try it first with cobalt. And instant success. That is absolutely beautiful. Now let's again get some of the quinacridone gold and mix it with my ultramarine. And again, fantastic. I've got two beautiful looking greens. This is a real green gold. If I want it to be a more bright green, I'd go into the yellows, the lemon yellow or the cad yellow. But I really like these earthy tones. And I'm going to quickly dry this so that I can put the tree down on top. I'm going to avoid touching, I'm going to avoid placing too much heat near my little moon, because I think that masking fluid doesn't respond well to heat. You can turn it into that gelatinous muck that adheres to your paper. So I'm going around and around and trying not to touch it. Well, it's such a small piece of paper, it dried very quickly, that's for sure. The other advantage, you know, in doing some masking fluid for the moon rather than painting it in later is that I can do a tree trunk over it when I want to. I'm just checking how dry it is. It's a little bit damp there, but I'm going to forge ahead. Now I'm going to be doing this in this beautiful earthy green and this earthy green. And then I've got some lovely quinacridone gold over here. I'm going to be using my brush nice and low, flat to the page. Well, what I'm doing with my brush is going completely flat. I'm going as close to 180 degrees as I can, and I'm going to put in a little mound. Oops, I wanted a little more spaces and a little mound. Some of them are joined, and I'm trying mounds. And then there's I'm following this line along here. Mounds, oh, and there's one that goes right out to there, mounds, and by keeping my brush at this low angle, hopefully I'm going to get some lovely spaces between that. Okay, that's quite good and a bit irregular and goes off the page over here. That was the quinacridone gold, and I'm going to do a few more that appear down here. So there's some here, and so I'm trying to use the tip to make a mound-like shape, but also I was attempting some kind of dry brush. And there's more over here. And I'm just focusing on the light ones at the moment. I'm not doing the dark. That'll be for later. Okay, so that was the quinacridone gold. Next up, I'm going to go in for this mixture with cobalt blue, and I'm going to touch into that. Now it's too similar. Okay, I need it to dry again. I quite like the wet in wet, but I want the different colours to be shown, and I need that to be dry enough for that to happen. These aren't very round. So this one needs more blue. And I think I'll add even more blue because I wanted it to be darker. I wanted that to be light, and then I'm coming in to the same mounds and putting in some dry brush. I'm getting some nice spaces now between it. And yeah, that's a little better. Come back in again, and I'm trying to leave the tops as alone, and then just putting in little sections as I get darker, and they'll have, oh, this dry brush is really working nicely down here. So the dry brush, I'm attempting to get kind of a leafy look. Okay, now over here I've got my ultramarine. I'm adding more ultramarine so it definitely goes darker. Let's see whether or not I need to dry it, and I'll just try first to put in, that's fine, okay. So again, I've got my brush down on this really, really flat angle, and I'm trying to put in those darks. The moon is under here somewhere. There it is. The moon's under there, so it does suggest that the light would be coming from behind, and so I'm just making it kind of darker at the bottom, and it's hard to follow this image because it's not really strong in terms of its tone. But there are these beautifully dark brown ones here. So for that, I'll see if I can make a version of that with ultramarine. Get a clean brush to stick into the, this is some pure quinacridone, thick. And I want a really dark version. Get some more thick quinacridone. I'm just putting it there so that I can keep the brush clean. All right, now it's a beautiful deep green. Awesome. Now, I want it to be greyed down. So the thing to do is to add a little bit of red. Little bit of red. Add a tiny bit at a time as I, oh, no, I need it all, as I grey it down. So if you add the complement to a colour, you get grey. Okay, so that is in there. So again, I'm going to use the side of my brush, trying to get some mounds happening that will leave little light areas. Some light there. Put some down here, some lovely lights areas that allow the light to come through all those leaves. I did see a Jenny McNaughton video once and she suggested that what you're doing is allowing areas for the birds to fly through. I've always thought that was completely beautiful. Okay, back to my palette. Over here is my quinacridone gold. And I'm going to be painting these tree trunks. Now I know that this colour is not going to, it had this really beautiful glow. This colour is not going to be great for the tree trunk because it's incredibly light, and you do get a range of barks on gum trees. So let's say it's this lovely dark one because that just suits my purpose better. And there it is here. Oh, I think I'll add some, oh, that made it green. I added some phthalo for no good reason. That just wasn't logical. Go back to the ultramarine. Now I'm in grey zone. Now I need to get, oh, maybe I'll add red. I wonder if I will end up with some khaki colour that I should not have mixed. Red. Yeah, there you go. That's what I was after, a magnificent brown. Okay, switch brushes to a nice little one. I use this Richardson liner and the paint's coming off on it, which is my fault for leaving it there. Wet it and let's put in some beautiful tree trunks. They start down here, so I'm going to start down there and I'm going to follow where it goes, and then it's a bit of now you see me, now you don't, and it comes up into there. Go back here, and then when you get to the furthest, thinnest branches, they get thinner and thinner and thinner as it goes up. There's a random one out there. Let's do over here now. It comes, I'll make this one go behind the branch, like that, and then it goes behind, and then it comes out up to here, and at this point it starts to blossom out and blossom like that, and as it goes up, in between here you start to see these little tiny branches. It's not one of those gum trees that has lots of bits sticking past. You know how you get those gum trees that I don't know, have they been burnt, have they been, for some reason they have all those incredible for some reason they have all those incredible dead sticks going past it, so I don't know why that is with some gum trees. Maybe someone knows the reason for that. I'm just fattening that one there. Okay, now over to here, I'm going to remain fat, and it's going to go up there, and this one can come up. And then there's these lovely little ones that come out of here. And then occasionally, in amongst that growth, you can see the beautiful supports. Now, out down here, this forks out. I'm going to make it go over that bush, push it back, and it snakes up to there. And then you see it a bit, and then you see it again as it comes up to do these incredibly delicate, so thin as it gets up to the top here. And my moon is lost in there somewhere, but it's just this little cute cameo. Okay, these marks over here just look stupid, so I'm going to get water and see if I can soften some of them. They just don't look logical. A bit more water, soften out some of the marks so that some might look a little lost and some will look a little found. Soft, soft, soft. That one you'd see a little bit of, so I'll just soften that a little too. Okay. Now I need it to dry, and then I'll take the masking fluid off. And these dark ones here, I've used the same colour to paint on them, so I'm going to just change that. I'm going to get some quinacridone gold and change the trunk here. I wonder if that will work. No, it's just going straight over that dark. Okay, I'm going to scrape it out. I've got one of these brushes. It's called a Royal Academy Aquilon, and it comes with a chisel edge, and I love it because I might be able to scrape out those branches. Look at that. That's excellent, especially through that dark bit there, that bit. And that's nice and wet, so it'll scrape out. Is this wet? A little bit. Quite nice to for putting in a little bit of detail, a little bit of texture. Texture, that's what we'll be doing in a couple weeks' time on YouTube Live. I'm really enjoying painting this series with you. That one. That's better. Now it's sitting in front of those branches that go behind. That's much better. All right. Let's just dry this again and take off my masking fluid. So I mentioned earlier that I didn't want to add heat to the masking fluid, but I can't even see where it is, so I'm just going to go for it. And then I get the painting done, which I love. I love to get the things complete. Okay, where is the masking fluid? I can't remember where I put it. That is paint. So this paper handled scraping, and it did end up handling lots of layers, and that rivulet that was running through the paper I've covered, and you can't even see it anymore. But where I put the masking fluid is a mystery. I don't want to rub too hard because I don't want to actually like remove some paper, because I mean it's dry, but it's only 90% dry. Where is the... Ta-da! Found it. And so half of it got lifted off. So remember, I put a tissue on it. And how perfect is that? I lifted off half the masking fluid and so bits of paint have gone in. That is absolutely perfect. I think that's amazing. I'm going to fix that little branch, make it go in front of the moon. And this branch just touches the moon. And perhaps there's a little branch there. Okay. Tiny little wispy branch that would be quite obvious because it's got the light behind it. And the little moon is made like a little focal point. So where do you sign a round painting? On this one, I guess I could find a little space somewhere. I loved this texture, by the way, and it's just done with that special tape from Bunnings. Perhaps I should sign it round here, but I want it to be oriented this way. If I sign it over there, is it going to make the painting want to go that way? Or I think, actually, I'm going to go green firstly, and there's plenty of it here. I'm going to paint my signature really, really small. And I'm just going to be quite careful right now. Marion Chapman. It's so easy to lose track while I'm in the middle of it. I might as well sign this one while I'm here too. Although I think it might want some white. I think I need to sign that in white. Yeah, I won't do that one right now at all. I will sign that one with a white pen. That's what I'll do. And then it can, although that dark bit there is beautiful. Maybe it should be, like that. Did that ruin it? No, that's okay. It's kind of balanced in a way. Alrighty, there's my little quick tree. I reckon that probably only took about 20 minutes to paint. There was a little bit of explanation at the beginning, so yeah, 20 minutes. And I've tested out this Arteza paper, so far pretty good, apart from these major marks in it. Mind you, I bought a piece of Baohong, the premium paper the other day, and it had some texture on the paper as well. So I'm going to say that this Arteza is pretty good. The masking fluid has pretty much come off. Oh, I shouldn't touch that. That's a tiny bit wet. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I really appreciate your support. See you next time. Bye.